Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, welcome. For those of you that are returning, I'm super excited you came back for another round. And if you take a look at the screen, you will see we are not in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We are not even looking at an airplane or an airport. We're just staring at a screen that's just kind of boring and not doing much. The only excitement we have right now is the noises in the background, which you'll be excited to hear. That is Microsoft Flight Simulator. You probably already knew by the annoying ground equipment. But it's running, it is just waiting for us to get on our way. So now you may be asking, Tyler, what are we looking at? What is this screen? This is OnAir Airline Manager. And this is a new program that I picked up here within the last week. I did pay for it myself. I paid $9.99 for a 1 month, I guess you could call it a subscription, of what OnAir Airline Manager is, because I wanted to give it a try. You can get a free 7-day trial of the program if you have not used it before. If you have used it before, or you ran out of your free 7 days, you then have to pay for it. And the cheapest you can do is the 1 month, which is $9.99, but then you can prepay for several months, and I think all the way up to 2 years in advance, and I think you get a discount if you pay for more months. I didn't want to commit for in case I didn't like it, so I only did 1 month. But it looks like I'm going to go ahead and buy another, I guess, subscription, pass, whatever you want to call it, once my 1 month is over, because I'm really happy with it so far. And with that, I am very happy with it, as I said, and we will see this more on the channel. We will probably start a little playlist that'll be just flying OnAir Airline Manager, and this is where our Idaho Air Service airline will probably primarily stay, is now doing these missions. Which, for those of you that do watch for the Microsoft Flight Simulator videos, this one will be different than my normal ones, because I'm not focusing so much on the actual flight we're going to perform today. I want to focus on the actual program that we're looking at. Also, for my Flight Sim fans, you might be a little disappointed because this will probably be my last Microsoft Flight Simulator video for a while. Maybe I'll put out one more. But today is February 18th of 2023. On February 24th, 2023, this day right here, Kerbal Space Program 2 comes out. And that is a game I've been waiting for right about 2 years now. I am super excited for it. I plan on doing a video the day of or the next day after the game launches, and we are going to be spending a lot of time in Kerbal Space Program 2. So Flight Sim's going to take a backseat here in about a week, so I would encourage you to come watch Kerbal Space Program, because if it's anything like the first one, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to mess a lot of things up. We're going to destroy some rockets and probably kill some Kerbals, which YouTube, don't strike me for saying that. They're adorable little green characters. Do not take me down for mentioning that we might lose a couple Kerbals. They're not real, but they are adorable. So please, YouTube, pretend I didn't say that. So now with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into OnAir Airline Manager. So when you get the program, you have 3 options on what you can do. You can start from Cumulus, you can go to Stratus, or you can go to Thunder. Cumulus is the easiest world, with Stratus being the middle and Thunder being the hardest. Because I'm brand new, I went with their recommendation of first-time CEOs using Cumulus, and I said, let's go ahead and pick the easy route. That way we can figure out if we like it or if we don't like it and move on with our lives. And so in this world, we pretty much have the most forgiving rules, and we can do just about whatever we want. We have AI pilots, we have easy economy, and there's no leaderboard. We got about 230 grand in the bank because I've already done some flights. We got our company value is 61,000. We have 1 airplane and 1 pending job. And what we'll do for the sake of just showing you how to start up the game, we will take a look at Stratus, because I can't set up another company in Cumulus because we're already set up. And in Stratus, things get slightly harder. We get AI pilot still, we get a more challenging economy, and we have a leaderboard. And we also start out with a little less cash. I think it's like 200 grand less than we did in Cumulus, so it's not significant. And then we can start a small company or an airline. In Cumulus, I decided to go for a small company because I was thinking of the TV show Wings, one of my favorite TV shows growing up. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. The real world airline Cape Air actually uses one of the 402s that was in Wings. I think it was 121 Papa Bravo, if I remember right. That's the tail number. Someone can correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. Either way, would highly recommend Wings. Great show. Or we can start an airline. Pretty much the only difference between the two is how much cash you start with, and then employees. And small company, it is you. In airline, you have a co-pilot and 2 flight attendants. You also get an FBO, which I haven't messed with, so we're really not even going to cover what you can do with FBOs. And then Thunder is no AI pilots. You are the man. You can't even hire nobody. You get a challenging economy and a leaderboard. You're also a little bit more strapped for cash. You don't get as much. I haven't even looked at this, so we're not even going to touch Thunder yet. So let's go ahead and start up an airline in Stratus. I said we're going to start up an airline, but we're actually going to start up a small company. Actually, no, we'll go ahead and start up an airline. That way you can see the difference, because otherwise it's almost identical, except here we have employees. So we'll go ahead and click Start Airline. And we're not going to be flying as this airline today, so we'll just call it the Flying Photographs, because that is the name of this channel. Oop, I can't spell, apparently. Airline code will be the initials, the Flying Photographs, and let's see, we'll just think of a number 6. Okay. Our pilot pseudo will be Fly Photos. Why not? He's a fly guy. We'll leave the date of birth that as is. Flight experience, from what I'm aware of, doesn't make a difference. It could be 0. It could be 18,053 hours. Doesn't make a difference in the game from what I've been told. So let's go ahead and do a number. Let's see here. We'll make something outrageous. We'll do 665108. Yeah, we have 665,000 flight hours. Okay, apparently there's a cap of 500,000. Didn't know that. We'll say we got 500,000 flight hours. And for the purpose of this video, we will start out in Melbourne, Florida. KMLB. And we are in Microsoft Flight Simulator. You do have other options, including you don't even need a flight simulator. You can just do tycoon mode, where you just hire pilots and they do their thing. You don't even gotta have a flight sim. And we can choose avatars. I wish you could actually personalize the avatar, but they did make up for it by including more options than I know what to do with. Just look at this. We don't even have time to like scroll through them one by one. It would take forever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my eyes, just zigzag this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, and we'll stop right there. I'm going to click over here a bunch of times and hope I get a character. Alright, that is the Fly Photos. Create. And so now we are loading into OnAir Airline Manager, and I believe it does this every time you open the program. And so when you are in the game, this is what it looks like. We have... Oh, sorry, I distracted myself by saying the game. If you know, you know, and you lost. So OnAir Airline Manager has a flight counter. This, I believe, is all the flights that have been done in OnAir. We can see the aircraft market, the operations maps. We can find jobs, pending jobs, flight logs, and activities. We'll look more into some of this in our actual world that we're going to fly in. We got 1.5 mil for cash. We have no company value, no income. We are in debt, man. Our debt ratio is 0.993. We are broke. We have no jobs, no aircraft. We do have an FBO. We are level 3, and we have 4 employees. So there is us, the Fly Photos, and we have Manuela Mello Almeida. I'm not good at English, so I'm really going to mess up these names. So please forgive me for messing up that name. You can also feel free to correct me on how to actually pronounce it. I will not be hurt. So then for flight attendants, we got Carlene Williamson. And is that pronounced Tiny? Tiny? I'm going to go Tiny. Annan. Okay. I don't know where they came up with these names. There's 2 U's and 2 K's back to back. I'm not even sure what sound that would make. But we got 2 flight attendants, and we got 2 employees, and we can hire... I don't know what I just did there. We got a pilot, 2 flight attendants, and no mechanics. And we can hire some if we wish, and it'll show us the global job market. One of the downsides to this is sometimes it seems a little slow. I don't know if maybe it's my internet or if it's just slow in general. But sometimes it's a little slow. And now if we really wanted to hire a mechanic, we can see all of the people that are available for the job. But we're not even interested in that right now. I've never actually hired an employee in the game yet. So I am not the expert on that topic. Just like FBOs, I don't know anything about other than I need to use them to buy gas. So now if we were starting the airline, the first thing we would want to do is acquire an airplane. So we'd come down here to the aircraft market. Then wait for it to load the aircraft market. Alright, so now we're in. And so now, if you really wanted, you could actually just go select what sim you're in and have it just load the aircraft that are available for that simulator. Which, as you can see for Microsoft Flight Simulator, there are a ton of options. So, I'm sure if you have an airplane, they probably got it in the game. So you can use it for airlines. They even have fighter jets in here, man, which is pretty cool. If you want to make it really easy, just go into Microsoft Flight Simulator. You don't even have to start up the game like I did. You can just be sitting in the hangar or in the main profile page. And then what you can do is come into OnAir and click search for aircraft I have loaded in the simulator. And once again, you can do this from the main menu in the hangar or even just sitting in World Flight. You don't need to be sitting on the ramp. You just need to have the game open with an airplane loaded from the hangar in the main menu. Click search for aircraft I have loaded, and it will search for whatever airplane you picked. So for me, it's the Kodiak because that's probably the most used airplane on this channel, and it's one of my favorites. So then what we do is, we'd pick this one, but this is one I already have, so let's go ahead and pick something different just so we can show it off. Let's pick the... Yeah, let's go ahead and pick the 737-600. So we'll go... So we're going to pick the 737-600. And then what we want to do is take a look, make sure that this is the aircraft we want to take a look at. Then we can go ahead and click Display, Sell, Rent, and Lease Offers. Because now we want to rent this airplane. So we already got our airport up here. Every now and then you'll see it auto-populate AET. And things get a little weird. And it did once show me aircraft that were available at AET, and then I was really confused because I couldn't get the airplane to do the check ride or anything, and I had to delete the whole airline. So make sure you have something put in for the airport box and that it does not say Alpha Echo Tango. If it says that, click the red X button and get rid of it, because it will mess you up in the long run. So go ahead and search for aircraft out of the Melbourne International Airport. And then now we can take a look. We do not have $30-40 million sitting in the bank, so we're going to go to rent. And we're just going to sort that to make it nice and easy. So what I like to do is look at not only what it costs, but which airplane is in the best condition. So looking here at the bright bars, we don't want these orange ones, because 75 grand versus 75 grand, we can get one in green. We want the one in green. It's probably worth the 30 nautical miles. Or look at this one. Only 22 nautical miles. So you just gotta look around. But I say look for, oh, that one's in bad shape. Don't look at that one. Look at this, 90 nautical miles, even better. But this one's 100% and it's cheap. So let's say that November 6546 Tango is the one we wanted to buy or rent, which is what we are going to do. So then we want to click on details. Then it will tell us everything about the airplane. It's a Boeing 737-600. Here's all the stats that we looked at earlier. And now here's on the right, the tail number specific stats. So it's 100%. It's got 2,700 hours on both engines, and they overhaul at 3,000. Engine conditions are 93 and 91%. Airframe's only got 2,700 hours on it, and it has a 42,000 hour lifetime. It's got 2,700 gallons of fuel on board already. And then it has the next annual check is in 127 days, and it's got 100 hours left before its inspection. So it also shows us the estimated value and the number of seats equipped in the airplane. Then it gives us kind of some just overall cost of what we're going to have to pay eventually to actually operate this aircraft. Also, who owns it. And so then we can take an additional look at the economic details by clicking here. And so they consider the worst case scenario where you remove all the seats and load only cargo. So looking at this, there's the operational payload without seats. Then we got average cruise speed, average weekly hours, and then average annual flight hours. And so breaking everything down, it would cost us about $3,800 a flight hour. And then you can break it down by maintenance. So then your total maintenance comes down to 49 grand per flight hour. That's expensive. And then it talks about your rental rates, your lease rates, and your purchasing. But what we really care about, most of you probably won't look into those economic details. But looking into our pricing, so then we can just buy it for 47 mil, which we don't have. Our dry rent is $75,730. And then we have a renting bond, which we have to pay 10 flight hours up front if we're going to rent it. So we actually got to pay them a little over $750,000 just to rent it. Or we could lease it for $500,000. What I did in my world is I leased the airplane because I thought it was a better deal. And we can even get a discount based on how long we want to lease it for. And you do pay per week. So that's $500,000 at 1 week. And so then we can set out how we actually want to load the aircraft in terms of configuration. And then once you do this, you can hit confirm and actually acquire the airplane. And so this is where I'm going to actually delete this world and jump into our real world and move on with the show. Okay, so here we are in the Idaho Air Service. So we can see that right up here, Idaho Air Service. Our full 4-letter identifier is IDAS for Idaho Air Service. One of the things I forgot to mention is over here in options and global settings. So here you set everything up. And an important thing right here is the company UTC offset, which I've set to 12 hours. This program makes the game fly with real-world weather and real-world time. Those two very important things to remember. So if you're like me, you're here in America, but you say do all your flying at midnight, but you want to fly in the daytime, you want to change this. So I have mine offset 12 hours in advance. That way it is 12 hours later from now. So in the game, it's going to be almost 1 p.m. instead of being almost 1 a.m. when it's dark out. That's just one very important thing that I did not know about until I actually got in and started playing the game. Also, you can come in here to delete company. This is how you do it. Or you can even pause the company for in case you're going to be gone, like, I take a lot of work trips. So global settings actually has some really useful things you might want to actually check out. So now if we go back over to my company, we'll go to the home page. So now we'll look at a couple other things we didn't look at before because we just didn't have them available. So we can go ahead and check out our cache. And so this just breaks down our cash flow. So we started with $170,000. We leased an aircraft. We have landing fees. We got paid. We bought jet fuel, landing fees, jet fuel. Basically breaks down all of our money. We can even export it to a Excel sheet, which is pretty neat. Depends how invested, I guess, you want to be in the business. We also can just see a balance sheet. Value is, these are for the most part identical because we've only been in the game for like 3 days, maybe a week, however long it's been that I've actually been flying in the game. Then you can see your asset ratio, breaks everything down for you. Actually tells you how they come up with those ratios as well. Our job history, our aircraft, we have no FBOs, and then our levels, which we'll touch on this right now. So I currently have 5 skill points to distribute, and this is the life and blood of the airline. So if we want to start taking out debt, we need to put a skill point here. If we want to make an FBO or get agreements for FBOs, we need to put a skill point here. If we want to carry people, we need to put a skill point here. If we want to hire employees, we need to put one here. And then from there, we can increase what we can do with each of those skills. Right now, I haven't even touched mine. I've just been trying to fly and figure out how the thing works. The best way to describe this program is it's a lot like American Truck Simulator, but for Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I really enjoy that. Kind of gives me, I don't want to say a purpose, but it gives me a reason to go fly the airplane instead of just be like, where do I want to fly today? And then we can look at our employees, which we have 1 employee. The flying photographs, there is me. We're currently in Twin Falls, based out of Boise. There's our flight hours. And then we could go manage our employee, but it's just me, so we're not going to worry too much about managing me. And then what we can do is we can look at the aircraft market, which we already did. Operations map. I want to say this is if we had more than 1 pilot. This would be most beneficial. So on the operations map, we can see me with our aircraft here in Twin Falls. Then we can see the condition of our airplane, condition of our engine. We've leased our plane. We got, looks like 143 gallons on board. And we can see all kinds of other fun stuff. Kind of like if we were actually looking at a real airline. So we can find jobs. We'll touch on this real quick before we get into our pending jobs and actually get flying. So if we were looking for a job, right now we'll change this to show that we are at Twin Falls. And we'll say between 10 and 500 miles, carrying 2,000 pounds of cargo. And we want no passengers because we're not certified to carry passengers. So we'll submit the query. And it'll go ahead and load us all the jobs out of Twin Falls. Which it does take a minute. And so right here is all the jobs we have out of Twin Falls. And if you say want to sort this by cargo weight, you can just click right up there, sort it. If you want to sort it by how much money you're going to get paid, which is what I like to do, you can go ahead and sort it by how much money you're going to get paid. Oh, is that Miles City? Yeah. That's a good job. 68 grand to go Twin Falls to Miles City. Only moving 1,700 pounds of cargo. Oh, that's a good job. Where was that when I started my trip? I would have jumped on that. Oh well, too late now. But anyway, one of the key things you should look at is this very first column. I guess technically second column. It's going to have a number in it. So all these are 1. Then you see this one with 2 and this one with 3. So we're going to use this one as an example. So what that is how many legs you have to make. So for this trip, we have to go from Twin Falls to U45. Then somehow we're going to have to get back to Twin Falls, probably unpaid, unless we can find a trip that brings us back. We're going to have to go up to ID 41, back to Twin Falls, and eventually up here to Grangeville. And we won't get paid until we complete all 3 legs. So that is one thing to look at. There's also different kind of jobs, so we can do sightseeing jobs if there's any available. which I don't know if Twin Falls has any. Oh, there are. So you can do some sightseeing jobs, and with these, I don't actually know how they work. I haven't played with them. Okay, so we have to go fly from Twin Falls to Pocatello. Then we need to go to Rainy Park, stay there for 180 seconds, within 1.2 nautical miles, and below a radar altitude of 500 feet. Oh my gosh. That might be fun. We're going to have to do one of those. There's also rescue missions, there's fighter missions, glider missions, and offshore missions. For whatever you want to do. I believe we cannot do these yet because we don't have the right certifications. But now we'll move into our pending jobs, because that's where we're actually going to go fly today. And so we are doing a 3-leg trip from Boise to Baker City. At least I'm pretty sure that's Baker City, right? Yeah, to Baker City. So we already flew Boise to Twin Falls. Now we're going to fly Twin Falls to Baker City. And then we're going to fly Baker City to Sun Valley. So this leg from Boise to Twin Falls is done. Now we're going to fly this leg up here. So for that, we can go ahead and take a look at our FBOs. So here in Twin Falls, we have 100 low lead available, which we're a jet airplane, so we don't want 100 low lead. We got over 500,000 gallons of Jet A available at $6, pretty much $6 a gallon. And then we have 156 gallons of Jet A available at $5.77 a gallon in Baker. So we definitely want to get gas there. So we also want to make sure we have fuel to get there. We had 140 something gallons in the aircraft, which if I go to my Kodiak performance tool, wherever that is on my phone, I apparently have way too many things open on my phone right now. So give me 1 second to find it. It's in here somewhere. There it is. So we have 143 gallons in the aircraft. Required for our flight is 697 pounds, which is 104 gallons. And that is... do we have an alternate in here? Oh no, so that's just going to be our fuel. Our fuel press reserves. So if we change that to show we're flying at 7,000 feet, that's 106 gallons. So we got more than enough of our reserve to make it to Baker City, but we're definitely going to want to get gas from Baker City to Sun Valley. So now we can go ahead and start a flight. So we will click that. We're going to be in November 7661C Charles, which is a Kodiak 100 and a maximum payload of 3,000 pounds. So now we will prepare the aircraft. And I like to go ahead and load into the sim before I even start all of this. That way the sim's up and running. I can already plan everything in the Kodiak planner and be ready to go. So now we want to make sure the checkbox is down here on cargo delivery number 2, which it is. I like to just move the slider, ensure everything's ready to go. We have no passengers, so it's going to load up this cargo right here. So then fuel, we have 142.64 gallons to be exact. That is enough to get us to where we need to go with our reserve, so we're not going to worry about that. And then here we look at our weights. I wish you could use the weight and balance planner at this point, but we can't. We do not need a reserve looking at an alternate looking at the weather, so we are going to go ahead and backspace that. We don't need it. Oh, it wants us to have an alternate. Okay. So we'll put that back. We don't need it though. So now we want to go ahead and validate our fuel and payload, so that way it transfers everything over to the rampies. And now it's going to go ahead and load that cargo because we're not accepting any fuel on this flight. And it does actually make you wait. It doesn't make you wait very long. We have to wait simply a minute on this. And the one thing I don't like about this is it says it's loading cargo right now. But once this is done, we go into the Kodiak in the game. We click on weight and balance, and I've yet to see it actually put the weight in the aircraft like it's supposed to. So, maybe it's me. Maybe it's the game. I don't know. Chances are, because I just said that, it's going to prove me wrong. Just because we're recording it. You know, it's like when your car has a problem. You know, your car starts making some weird noise, like there's like just something in your hood just screaming to let it out. And then you take it down to the Ford dealer, like, hey man, my car sounds like something's in there screaming to let it out. And then they open up the hood. Well, first they bring it back there, open up the hood, and they're like, no man, it's good. We can't reproduce that. Yeah, that's gonna be what we're about to run into. So we're just about done with the loading of the aircraft in the program. And so now we want to go ahead and hit fly now with an offset of 12 hours. So it's starting flight, tracking the aircraft. And here we go. So now we're actually in the flight data portion of the program. So we can import our flight plan from the sim if we want. We can just send a flight plan to the sim. I don't worry about any of that. It does give us our runway information, and it also gives us the METAR, which is real nice. And if you want to change it, we can just click on the airport, and it does the same thing, which is pretty nifty. Here's our payload information. And what I like to do is just recheck all of these and see if you change any of this, it will not let you start the flight. It has to be real time, real weather. What I like to do is just uncheck everything and okay, I like to just uncheck everything and then make it go check itself. So now we'll get into our weight and balance. And what I do is I pull up my Kodiak planner. Oh, let me put that down since I'm facing down. So let's pull up the Kodiak planner, go into weight and balance. So it's saying our pilot weighs 190 pounds. And then in that front left seat, well, I guess front left position, we're going to have 349 pounds. And then in the front right, we're going to also have 349 pounds. One of the things I don't like is, so it puts in 349. What's that, 700 pounds? But it says we're transporting 888 pounds? I mean, I guess that's me plus these two, but that doesn't equal the 1200 that's right there. So I don't know what it's doing with its numbers, to be honest. We got 71 and 71 gallons. So we're going to go ahead and click validate. And then now we're going to jump over into the sim, come into our weight and balance. And look at that. Nothing transferred over. So we had 71 and 71, which gives us 951 pounds. That's pretty close. So your pilot is 190, and we got 349 and 349. So now that is in there. Everything's looking good. So we're going to close that out. We got boxes right there. We're going to go ahead and flip the master on and just verify our fuel updated in the aircraft. And 475 for a total of 951. So that is good to go. We'll flip that back off. Come back over to OnAir. So now that we verified everything is accurate according to this, we'll go ahead and hit start tracking. Alright, and so now it is tracking. I like to have it in the flight data view, because it actually shows us all the fun information. Oh no, it froze. That was weird. It hasn't done that before. This shows us all of our flight events. It keeps track of our altitude, RPMs, airspeed, power. I like to leave it in this view. So now we're going to go ahead, jump in the aircraft, and get on our way. Alrighty, so we are in the aircraft, and now it's going to be a lot more like one of my normal videos, except I don't think we're going to do a lot of the fancy intros and stuff this time. We're just really going to focus on flying the airplane, but we'll see how I feel en route. So we'll do our standard entry stuff into the Kodiak, which will be locking our seatbelts, introducing the fuel position levers out of shutoff. We have no co-pilot, so we'll leave his seat unlocked. Then looking down here, everything's off. We have our beacon and our nav on, which is fine with me. That's how I like it. Shutoff will be pushed in. Normal, idle, feather, and cutoff. Looking down here. So everything down there looks good. So we're going to shimmy over to the middle like normal. And we're going to go ahead and fire up the aircraft by turning on the master. Click enter. I'm just going to check our battery. 25. We need 24 for a start, so we are good there. Then we're going to turn our auxiliary fuel pump to on and ignition on. So then once we hit starter on, we're going to flip it to low in motor because we don't have ground power and we are using the motor to start. We're going to be watching this bottom arc. This is the NG. We want that to be above 14%. It even has this nice little marking on the dash. Above 14% before we introduce fuel to the engine. If we do it too early, we risk hot starting the engine. So now we'll drop that into low motor. And so now we're climbing through 8, 10, 11, there's 14. So I'll bring that up to low idle. And now we're going to slowly bring the prop up. So prop is up. We'll reposition ourselves. Engine spinning pretty nicely. So now we're looking for everything to stabilize. So ITT just popped up. It stayed in the green. And we're stabilized at 52.6. So everything's looking good there. So we'll go ahead and bring the generator and alternator on. Starter goes off. Ignition goes off. I'm going to turn our fuel pump down to standby. Close that window. Now we'll get our avionics and our auxiliary buses on. It is -8 degrees centigrade in here, so let's turn that to Fahrenheit. Click the floor heaters on. And let's just go ahead, bring this up to 72 degrees. And we'll get these running while we're here on the ground. So we'll go ahead and check our oxygen. Oxygen is on. And looks like all of that's still set up from when I did it earlier. So now we'll just get our COM2 set up and our NAV2. So 113.3 for Boise. And then we'll go ahead and turn this to 13.1 for Twin Falls once we switch over NAV2s. Coming down here, we want the weather for Twin Falls. Which weather for Twin Falls is 135.025. 135. .025, we'll get that in, hit COM2. And then we want our meowing channel in.
Sky condition, clear. Temperature, -9 C, dew point, 10 C, altimeter, 3016.
3016.
Whiskey Foxtrot, automated weather observation, 2000.
We want pitot heat on.
Wind, 148 at 4.
148 at 4. Well, we planned on taking off runway 26. It's only 4 knots. We'll accept that. So we're still going to take off runway 26. We got our altimeter in. A transponder we'll go ahead and bring to on since we're on the ground. We have a transponder code in. We got everything else set up, so we'll bring flaps down to 20 for takeoff. Trims I already set up. We'll quickly go over our flight plan for those of you that are interested. So here's Twin Falls. Here's Baker City. It's right about 203 nautical miles. We're going to be cruising at 7,000 feet. We are departing Twin Falls, and we're immediately going to get on Victor Airway 253. SkyWest flies here? I did not know SkyWest flies here. So we're going to be getting right on Victor Airway 253. And then from there... Oh, that's not the right button. Oh, I've messed it all up now. I have officially messed it all up now. There we go. So from there, we're going to go to Boise, and from Boise, we're going to get on Victor Airway number 4, which will take us straight to Baker City. And so we can go ahead and zoom this out right now, because I know how to get down to our runway. We're going to come out of here, make a right so we don't take out our ground crew right there. Going to hook a right, go straight behind us, and just taxi right on down to the runway. So with that, let's go ahead and get our taxi lights on. And we will get on the road. I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so we're not actually going to use air traffic control, but we're not going to pull Southwest Airlines here in Twin Falls. So we're going to wait for this SkyWest CRJ to land, and it looks like he's going to land just about as bad as we did going into Hogsback Ranch. Yeah, that was a very rough landing. Also, extremely short of the runway, because we're at the bottom of the runway. So where did he go? Huh. I guess they're going to need to get the fire trucks over here. But we're just going to pretend we didn't see that. That is AIG traffic. If you want to know where I got any of my mods, including OnAir Airline Manager, the Kodiak 100, any airports, the traffic mod, just scroll down to the description. You might have to scroll for a minute, but I do list all my mods down there that I use in each video. They are video specific. So now we are ready to go, so we will bring that transponder to altitude reporting and ident. Bring that up to nearest. And our speeds are set. So come down here, flip our fuel pump back to on. Strobes can go on. Landing light can go to pulse. Taxi lights can go off. Pitos are good. And now we'll go ahead and bring our fuel lever to high, idle. Give that a second to stabilize. Let's make sure SkyWest doesn't pop up out of the ground again. I'm not seeing them. Flaps are 20. Fuel tanks are green and green. We are good to head out onto the runway. So parking brakes are off. I'm going to get repositioned in my chair here. Try and get the microphone moved over just a little bit more. And now we are good to go. We don't need the whole runway, but we're just going to go ahead and take up as much of it as we can because we're cleared for takeoff, so why not? A nice little turn here. That's good enough for me. I'll just zoom out on the range. Yeah, we'll do a nice 10 mile for takeoff. One thing about OnAir Manager, you do need to watch your taxi speed. It will ding you if you taxi too fast. So since our bypass is in the normal, since our bypass is not bypassing, it's in the normal position, we're going to go ahead and make sure we have a nice stabilized torque without over-torquing it. So we'll stop right there, still in the green. We'll come up off the brakes. And that's good right there. So now we'll go ahead and get rolling down the runway. Airspeed's alive, coming through 40. There's 50. There's 60, so we're good to work on rotating. Nice and easy. Get a little bit of rudder in there. There's 73. We're going to build up some speed over the runway here. There's 80, so we'll bring up flaps to 1 notch. Let that speed come up to 95. There's 95. Bring that last notch up. And now we're looking for 115 for our climb. And there's just about 115. We'll go ahead and gauge the autopilot. I don't know why it's not telling the airplane to climb. It should be. It's in. I don't know what it's doing. It is apparently confused. For some reason, flight level change is not working like it's supposed to. There we go. I have no clue what that was about, but we want to do 115 for our climb. Go ahead, get yaw damp on and set that to nav, which we're going to have to program it to nav, so let's go ahead and just bank this over. Oh, what the hell? Oh, my center wheel got stuck. That was odd. So the whole autopilot system's being a little funky. Don't know what that's about. Go ahead, bank that over to 340, and now we want to watch our torque as we come back on the propeller. Want to make sure we don't over torque the engine as we reduce RPMs. So that should get us pretty close to 2,000. One thing I've noticed is 2,000 RPM is bringing it down to about the bottom of the P. That gets you in the right ballpark. So there's 2,000 RPM, we're doing a maximum torque climb, so we're in the green, which is good. We're climbing nice at 115. Flaps are up. We can go ahead and bring the aux pump down to standby. Taxi lights are off, all their lights are on. We still need our pitot heat on. Looking around, we do have some visible moisture, but we're not in it yet, so we won't worry about that. We do need to give it just a little bit of right rudder, just to keep it coordinated. We are locked onto our GPS nav. Let's give it one more kick of right rudder. Maybe one more. And that's good. And now we're coming up on 7,000 feet, so let's go ahead and get our Kodiak Performance app back out. And let's take a look at our en-route speed. So our en-route speeds are for 75% power at 2,000 RPM with an outside air temperature of -3. So that's going to give us a torque of 1310, essentially. We actually want 1309, but we're not going to be able to see that on the indicator. We'll go ahead and shoot for 1310. And that's going to get us pretty close. 13.3, 13.20. Looks like we have too much right rudder, so let's kick it back to the left a little. And 13.30, what are we burning at 13.30? We're burning 297 pounds. The Kodiak planner says 306 was planned, so I'll go ahead and accept 330 as for our torque, because we're burning less fuel than we planned. Go ahead, increase this. We'll hit the magic B button to check our altimeter. And now we'll go ahead and switch over to Salt Lake Center. And with that, we are cruising on our way to Baker City. Like I said, this won't be a normal video, so I'm not going to really do a whole lot for the rest of the flight until we get there. We will stop, take a look at the charts within OnAir Manager, which we might do that now, we might do that in a little bit. We'll see how it goes, but I'll check in with you guys later in the flight. Okay, so we're right about halfway through our flight. We're just coming up on Boise, which is going to be right off of our nose. You can kind of see the runway lights right there. So that should be 28 left, there should be 28 right. And then if we just pop up real quick like a prairie dog, there's downtown Boise. And here's everything right in front of the airport. There's another one of our airmail beacons. We were briefly discussing over a little nav map earlier. And I did have to go ahead and turn the bypass on. We are starting to get some visible moisture at the altitude we're at, and it's -4 outside, so we're going to go ahead and run that bypass. We want to keep our RPM, not our RPM, our torque right about the same as it was before. So we actually want to be about 13, 18. We'll see how that settles out. We might have to fix that again. So now if we jump into OnAir, we can get an update on what it looks like. So as you can see, nothing here has changed because we left all that the same since we looked at it last. We can also now take a look at our flight status here above the map. So we have 109 gallons on board, which is 732 pounds. We're sitting about 3,200 feet above the ground with a 1G load. We are airborne, and this flight tracking session has been on for 54 minutes and 21 seconds. Looking at the map, we are currently pretty much right over the Boise airport, right about to hit that VOR. And then in 5 minutes, we'll be just past downtown, and 10 minutes will pretty much be to Emmett. In 20 minutes, we'll be at, I'm not even sure what town that is, but we'll essentially be in Oregon in 20 minutes. And so then reviewing our power and, power, airspeed, altitude information. We did our initial setup for cruise and climb, got to 7,000 feet. Airspeeds varied a little bit with the winds, but as we can see, it's pretty consistent, right about 140 knots. Altitude's the same, prop's the same, and then we did that a little bit of adjustment as we flipped the bypass on for the weather that we're encountering. So with that, as we sail right over the airport here, there she is. One thing, if any of you guys know, what is this, what looks like a runway off to the left of the airport? I've always wanted to know. And then there's this like road that comes out here. It looks like it connects, and there's even a pad with what looks like an aircraft. But what is this? If anyone knows, please fill me in, because I've always been curious and I've never been able to figure it out. But there is Boise. We can see the air base. I'm not sure if it's Army, Air Force, really not sure. National Guard maybe. And the actual airline terminals underneath our engine where we can't see it. But we can also go ahead and take a look at town, which I thought I saw a bright light for a second. Nope. Which, fun fact, if we shimmy over to the first officer seat again. I say fun fact, I guess it's not really a fact. If you are in Boise in real life and need a place to stay, there's an awesome Airbnb in this general vicinity right here. I stayed at it with my dog once. It's very nice, and it's downtown's just right there. Yeah, so the airport exit, also I guess the downtown exit. It's in this neighborhood back in here. It's like 2 blocks before that park. And there's a little canal, but yeah, it's somewhere, maybe it's that park. I don't know. It's somewhere in this general vicinity right here. I'm pretty sure that's the park. But yeah, super dog friendly. The lady was awesome that runs the Airbnb. I would highly recommend it if you're in the Boise area and looking for an Airbnb. It's somewhere right in here. I think it's going to be right there at that one. Maybe that one right there. I don't know. Either way, highly would recommend that Airbnb. Also, Boise's a pretty sweet town too. I did enjoy our stay in Boise when we went there. Super dog friendly town. I believe it was Meridian, maybe it was Nampa, but I'm leaning towards Meridian. had a lot of dogs, like dog parks and just dog-friendly stuff in general. So it was a real nice trip. The dog enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Would definitely go back. But with that, once again, this isn't going to be a normal video. I really just want to focus on the OnAir Airline manager. So with that, I'm going to bring our torque back just a little and let you guys enjoy the cruise, and I'll see you pretty much as we go into approach into Baker City. Hello again, everyone. So we are right about 20 miles from our airport. So now we're going to go ahead and start getting everything set up. We're going to start with our reference speeds. Glide speed's still going to be 97 knots. Scroll down. Excuse me. So VRAP is going to be 68 knots. Then coming down here, our stall landing speed is, our stall speed in the landing configuration is 41 knots. And then our takeoff go around speed is 74 knots. Then we're going to go ahead and give ourselves radar minimums of 750 feet. Let's go ahead and get that tuned in. Alright, and then looking at the most recent METAR for Baker City, it came out 36 minutes ago. It's an automated report. Winds are 200 at 5 knots, 10 mile visibility, clear skies. Doesn't look very clear skies to me, but okay. Then -6, -8 for temperature, then 3013. So that's going to give us a best runway of about 200, that'd be 17. So let's see what we got for procedures. Runway 13. So we'll take the visual for, well, why don't we use 26? Let's pop over to a little nav map real quick. Pretty much lined up directly with 3-1. What's a little nav map saying? Is it same exact thing, coming out 200, 5 knots? How long is runway 3-1? 5,000 foot. We're going to take runway 3-1. So we're going to go ahead and do the visual for runway 3-1. We'll just have it go straight in. And once again, we'll do 750 feet. Let's just go ahead and dial that in. Enter. And we'll go ahead and activate it. Yes. So that's going to turn us to get lined up. We're 3 minutes out from that waypoint. And what we'll do is we will just pop back over to OnAir to kind of show you guys how it's looked for the duration of the flight now. So as you can see, our airspeed's just adjusted with the wind, altitude's been steady, prop RPM's been steady, and power's been pretty steady, right about 68-70% throughout the duration of the flight. We got 76 gallons of fuel left on board, which is 507 pounds, experiencing anywhere between 0.8 to 1 point something of a G. This session's been on for an hour and a half. There's our most recent METAR, which even then, that one's pretty outdated, showing winds 170 at 5. And looking at it, we are currently getting lined up for that flight into Baker City. There's a whole map. Now we'll get out of this so we can actually focus on the aircraft. So we're 10 miles out now, so let's go ahead and start getting configured for landing. So we're going to want to bring the aux pump to on. Cabin's pretty good. We got enough runway, we'll leave that on. So aux pump on, everything else is on. Landing lights are on pulse. We'll go ahead and get that taxi light turned on. And let's see, I got a visual on the airport. So with that, we will go ahead and we'll kill the autopilot in a second. Let's go ahead and bring our prop up to 2,500 before we begin the descent. Or not 2,500, 2,200. Alright, so our torque stayed good, prop is good. So since I can see the airport, we're going to go ahead and do this completely visual. So we'll kill yaw damp, and we'll kill autopilot and flight director. So now we're going to go ahead and begin our descent. For the descent, I want to get us slowed down to about 115. And then we can go ahead and give it our first notch of flap. We're going to try and keep our speed up for a little bit. Let's just zoom in a little bit more. Let's zoom it into a 1.5. Alright, there's 115. We'll give it just a little bit more power. Too much power, bring it back. Alright, so we're under 115, so we're going to go ahead and give it that first notch as we line up on final. Let's slow down to 105 now. There's 105, so go ahead and go flaps 2. And now we're going to bring it down to 85. We're getting some good little wind gusts here coming off of that ridge. We're still a little high. Good bump. So there's 85, we'll go full flaps. And I want to go ahead and bring our RPM up to right about 11 to 1200. So there's 11, we'll see how we maintain speed at 11. So still getting some good bumps coming down.
180 at 4 knots.
We have a 3-knot tailwind. Not the most stabilized approach, but we're keeping it fairly steady. We're still too high, 500 feet. Alright, and we're coming up on 100 feet. Then there's 50, 30, 20, 10, and there's touchdown. Not our best landing. We've definitely had some better ones, but it was fairly bumpy. We're just going to apply back pressure on the yoke. Give it a little bit of braking. We just passed our taxiway. So we'll flip a U-turn here on the runway. Let go of that back pressure. And now we'll go ahead, turn around, get going back in towards the gate. Alright, so now we'll get that aux pump turned off. We'll go ahead and bring this down to a low idle. That will help us control our speed a little. Get the transponder pulled up. And looking for that taxiway line. There it is. And I can already see our rampies out there waiting for us on the tug. So as we turn off the runway, let's get the landing lights turned off, strobes off. Transponder can go just to on, no longer altitude reporting. And apparently we got a bus waiting for us too. That's interesting. I don't know why we have a bus. We don't have any people. But there is most certainly a bus. Alright, now how do we... Okay, I see how we get into this position. Okay, so let's get turned here. Slow down just a little bit. I don't know why the flight director's still on, but we can put that into normal. Pitos can go off. Taxi light can go off as well. Alright, so I'm going to bring it a little to the left. And now we can just bring it straight on in. Just try and keep our speed a little bit more reasonable. Because this guy we don't want to run over with our propeller. That'd be a bad day for everyone. Alright, so here we go, we're getting close. And stop. Alright, so parking brake is set. So now we want to go ahead and bring the prop back to feather. Alright, so prop is feathered. Now I want to go ahead and start the timer. And we want that to cool down for 1 minute in the feathered position. Which while we'll do that, we'll go ahead and turn off the air conditioning, turn off the auxiliary bus. Alternator and generator can go off as well. Beacon and nav will stay on. We do want to delete our flight plan so it's not in there for the next guy, which the next guy will be us at this airline. See, so all that's reset. We'll go ahead, unlock our seats. We can turn the Avionics bus off as well. Open up that window, let some fresh air in, and we got 35 seconds to go. We did not use any oxygen, so it still shows 100%, which is expected. And now we just wait the remaining 15 seconds of this flight, and I'm sure he's ready to put that wand down. Getting a good workout in. 57, 58, 59, 1 minute. Fuel condition goes to cutoff. We can stop the timer, reset it. Go ahead, flip the master off as that propeller comes to a stop. Bring those up to shut off, and shut off on the firewall. Open up the door, and now we will hop over to OnAir and see how we did. So once you complete the flight, you get brought up to this screen. So it shows us our flight has been monitored. There's our aircraft. We went from Twin Falls to Baker City. Engine on time was 18, 19, and 59 seconds. We were airborne at 2012. Touchdown was at 21:36, and engine off was 18, 19, 59. Which... oh, that's the date, and then... I'm confused by that. So when we see our level, we did receive a 20% bonus. Our reputation increased by 0.28%. We got a comfort bonus, a safety bonus, and a handling bonus, with a 0.17 percentage for wear and tear. Touchdown was smooth at negative 134 feet per minute, with a 0.9 for the landing G's at 64 knots. Our block time was 100 minutes. Flight time was 84 minutes. Brought in 1,200 pounds of cargo. And then you can kind of see the rest of our stats. We burned 479 pounds of fuel, which if we check the performance app, what do we plan on burning? We plan on burning 476. So 3 pounds. That's totally acceptable. I can live with that. And we did not exceed our taxi speed, so everything was good there. So now we'll go ahead and click OK. And now it will take us back to the company dashboard. And so nothing here changed other than our value is the same because we didn't buy gas. Well, we did have to pay a landing fee. I'm willing to bet we did have a landing fee come out in Baker City. And yep, there it is. Landing fee, Baker City, in the Kodiak, $150.78. And I'm not going to do the other leg because it is 2:42 in the morning. And I am ready to, hit the hay. But we will do that third flight, and on that third flight from Baker City to Sun Valley is how we will actually get paid. And we are looking at a $100,000 payout when we make it to Sun Valley, as long as nothing weird happens. which would be very good for our business. And so with that, I would like to say thank you guys all for watching. You guys are amazing, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. I think we will have to do this final leg as a video to show you guys. So there should be one more Microsoft Flight Sim video before we completely go on to the Kerbal Space Program bandwagon, because we need to get this job done and get this cash in here for you guys to see it. So with that, I am signing off for the night. I will see you guys on the next one.